When you find that a woman works, and in no way am I telling the sisters to quit their jobs, so that you can, some sisters, walillahi alhamd, they maintain their jobs and they maintain, their responsibilities with their husbands. However, we want the sisters to understand and prioritize your responsibilities. Your primary responsibility as a mother or as a wife is not to work. Sometimes we put more emphasis on work than we do, taking care of our husbands. You find a sister when it's time to go to work, she's doing her hair, she's putting on perfume, she makes sure everything is ironed. However, she doesn't do the same thing when it comes to trying to please her husband. The man got to ask you 3-4 times for certain things, and even when you do it half behind. You know what I mean? For lack of better words. You don't do your hair when your husband is on his way home like you do your hair when it's time to go to work. You don't get dressed as fast enough when it's time for you to go to the mall with the sisters as you do when it's time for you to go to make the salah. Prioritize, sister. Prioritize your life. Your primary responsibility is to take care of the heart of your husband. However, throughout our lives as Muslims, we have forgotten that. The sisters have forgotten that the way to Jannah for you is your husband. The Prophet ﷺ told the woman, look at your husband because he is either your paradise or your hellfire. And obviously, many of the sisters have totally neglected that aspect of their religion. As if being married to the man, you're doing him a favor. Him marrying you is giving you an opportunity to get to Jannah by only taking care of your husband. So we're not saying that the woman can't go out and work and, during the economic times that we're living in, the strife and the difficulty that we're living in now, some households have to have dual income. And we're not totally overlooking that. However, even if a woman works, we still want her to exert the same amount of energy to taking care of your husband as you do when you go to work. And take care of your boss. And take care of your job. My job. Take care of your husband and your household the same way. Even more. He said, so when a woman is pulled away from her primary responsibility, then he loses that hope, that love. That love begins to dwindle. He loses that compassion, loses that tranquility that she was created to preserve and protect initially. When you find a woman get involved with working, the compassion sometimes is gone. Because sometimes, especially with the younger women, they don't know how to juggle being a wife and a husband, being a wife and a mother, and being, someone who has a job. A lot of times they give precedence to one over the other, and it's very difficult for the younger sisters to make a balance between the two. However, some of the older sisters, they're a little better at it because they have been doing it for a while, and they've learned how to prioritize their lives. ونظرا لحاجة الإنسان الذي خلق ليعيش في الأرض إلى التدرب على ضبط رغباته وتقوية إرادته وامتناع عن كل ما فيه هلاكه وفساد دينه وخلقه دربت حواء كما درب آدم على تجربة عملية في ضبط النفس وذلك عندما نهاهما الله سبحانه وتعالى عن الاقتراب من شجرة في الجنة بعد أن أباح لهما الأكل من الجنة حيث شاء. She said when we look at the necessity of the human being, the one who was created to live in the earth and was tested and tried to teach him self-control and to control his desires and to avoid anything that would destroy him or his religion or his character. Hawaa was tested just as Adam was tested to try and test their self-control. And a vivid example of this was when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited both of them from eating or coming close to the tree that was in Jannah. After Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already given them the permission to eat from everything in Jannah. ووجد الشيطان في هذا النهي مدخلا على آدم وحواء بتطمئهما في الممنوع وتسمية الحرام بغير اسمه مع تكرار الإغراءات ومحاولات والتدرج فيها. The shaitan found an opportunity when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited Hawaa and Adam from eating from this tree. The shaitan found in this prohibition an opportunity to enter upon Adam and Hawaa and cause discord and dissension between them. And he did this by feeding them or offering them food that was haram for them to eat from the tree. But how did he do this? He did this by calling something that was haram by another name. Along with the fact that he had been whispering and trying very diligently before this, as the shaitan doesn't come at you in one shot. He takes you step by step. It starts off as a whisper, it starts as a desire, and it continues on until you give in to the shaitan. So the shaitan, he fed them from the tree, which they were prohibited from coming close to. With the argument that everything in Jannah had been made permissible for them. He said, وفي هذا ما يدل على أن النفس مولوعة بالممنوع تتمناه وتشتهيه ولو كان كل شيء مباح لها سواه ظنا منها أن في الممنوع شيء أو لذة ليست في المباح وهكذا يسول لها الشيطان. Something else very important to learn from this lesson is that how did the shaitan encourage them or incite them to eat from the tree? He made them think that eating from the tree, there was nothing wrong with it. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised you that you could eat from anything in Jannah. How is he now going to tell you you can eat from everything in Jannah but don't touch this tree? That's a contradiction. This is the way that the shaitan comes to you. He starts to make you rationalize with the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, how is Allah going to tell you eat from everything in Jannah and then turn around and say, don't eat from this tree? And the woman, she said that in this is a proof that the soul, the nafs, it desires things that it cannot have. That the soul desires things that it cannot have. And this comes from the shaitan because he makes you believe that what you do have is not sufficient and that you're missing out on the thing that you can't have. Subhanallah al-Azim. It's very dangerous. Many of our children fall into this because we tell them all the time, no boyfriend, no girlfriend. And we tell them that when you're ready to get married, we'll marry you. They know that marriage is permissible. They know that being lewd and having, relationships with people outside of marriage is not permissible. However, the shaitan deceives them into making them believe that what they can't have is more desirable and it has more benefit than the thing that they can have. The same way that the shaitan did with Adam and Hawaa. He makes you believe that in the thing that is haram, there's something in the thing that is haram that is a benefit for you that you can't find in the thing that's halal. كما أن إبليس سمى الشجرة بغير اسمها مغتنما نقعة الضعف التي لمسها من آدم وحواء. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى قال يا آدم هل أدلك على شجرة الخلد وملك لا يبلى. The shaitan, he also deceived them by calling the tree that they had been prohibited from coming close to by another name. Seizing the opportunity to take advantage of their weakness, the weakness of their desire.